Hello, I'm the Bunnyman.
And I'm Crazy Suzzy.
And we are in the Eyes of Terror. And happy Easter. Is it okay if I say it's belated?
Yes.
Happy belated Easter. Quarantining has unfortunately made our conditions a little bit louder than we would like.
Yes. So we're pushing forward and getting on with it. So our Easter film is Easter Casket.
2013.
We found this film on, we actually purchased it on Prime.
For like $4.
Well, that's not what we paid, but yeah. And it's also available to view on YouTube.
But is that like a little small box with stuff in the background and sped up?
It's not extremely enjoyable on YouTube. But anyway, it is not rated. IMDb gives it a 5.81 out of 10. Before we get into all of that, we did get a new mic, and we hope that everyone enjoys the higher quality.
We got a lot of new things. Got a new mic, along with a new computer and a new mouse.
Yes, that mouse made such a big difference.
It does. It's a nice mouse.
It's a nice mouse.
Yes, because we also had like computer fry issues, and so my old computer died, and we were using another computer I didn't really feel safe using, and
yeah, so we have a new setup, but so hopefully everyone enjoys our nice new mic. This is our first time using it.
So new mic, new everything else, new lease on life. I upped my contract with the devil. We're good.
Guaranteed spot in hell. Yes. Okay.
Front row seat.
So I'm sure you want to do the whole "what are you drinking?"
We can.
That's your thing.
So what are you drinking?
I'm having a very refreshing 7-Up with cherry juice and cherries added.
Ooh, we do have grenadine.
You know what? It's the same thing, basically, but less sugar. And I wanted cherries, so I just added the juice
I was just saying.
inside.
We also have, grenadine.
And if I drank all the grenadine, you'd be mad because we wouldn't have any.
Well, and I am drinking Lytt. It's
Lytt. It's Lytt.
Lytt. It's an extreme Lytt drink.
It doesn't say extreme anywhere.
It should. It's a Playtime Cherry Lime. It's 10% alcohol by volume. It's 24 fluid ounces. And it's a dog eat dog. This is by Bugsy Brewing. Got a lot of like random imagery all over it. Oh, it's out of Monroe, Wisconsin. Wisconsin. Cherry limey, but more on the limey.
It looked like toxic malaria.
I like toxic malaria.
The color?
It can't be worse than most monsters out there.
This is true.
This just has alcohol in it. So this is a energy drink with alcohol in it. For that concept, it's okay. I wouldn't drink it every day, though. I mean, I wouldn't drink it while I'm driving, but I wouldn't drink it every day. It's not something I would drink. I probably won't get this again. Let's just put it this way. Not a huge fan.
It's the ungood.
I'm not saying it's the ungood. I just prefer like Red Bull and vodka because I control the vodka. It's just got that weird alcoholic taste that pre-mixed alcohol energy drinks have. And
well, you can't win them all.
No. And I took a gamble on it, but I need to drink it because I am tired. So it's either that or like Sunshine Monster. So either way, it's a rock and a hard place on Flavor Town. So plus I had that for a while in there.
So Easter Casket. It is 1 hour and 20 minutes long. It is a comedy horror. The director is Dustin Mills. He is also the writer of the film.
And we have Justin Crowe as Father Crowe. Josh Eel as Father Asher. You get tired of that name real quick.
Yes. Asher.
Erin R.
Ryan.
Aubrie Burke. Steve Rumpy.
Rimpici.
As the Mega Pope.
Mega Pope. Away! Sorry, that's really catchy, and they say it several times. Dustin Mills plays Peter Cottontail's voice. Allison Egan plays Sister Mary Agnes. Ronnie Jonah plays Sister Mary Joan. Brandon Salkiel, I think, is Cardinal O'Malley. Minnie Gray is the sacrificed nun. The full list can be viewed at imdb.com. The estimated budget for this film was a whopping $3,000.
Gotta rent that Night's Inn.
Yeah, the majority of the film was made at just a little...
Night's Inn. I'm just saying.
Maybe, I don't know. A really kind of cheap motel.
I would hate to go in a blacklight in that place.
The premise of the film is all hell breaks loose when Peter Cottontail, aka the Easter Bunny, hears that the Catholic Church is about to do away with all the Easter rituals not pertaining to the resurrection of Christ.
Yep.
The bunny is unhappy and he goes crazy.
I think he was already there. That just pushed him slightly over the edge.
Slightly.
Tammuz is not happy. All right.
Well, first I would like to say that this film is in no way, shape, or form appropriate for children at all.
Come on. Who doesn't want to see nun tits?
It has
nun tits are fun for all ages.
Of nudity and a lot of inappropriate language. I mean, if you want your children to see a lot of naked breasts and vaginas, then hey, that's up to you. If you want your children to hear a stuffed bunny cursing, then hey, that's up to you.
Sounds like a family get-together.
The average person probably doesn't wish for that to happen.
It sounds like fun for the entire family.
If you want your toddler running around cursing profanities because they saw a stuffed bunny doing it, then, some people might want that. I don't know. But,
this sounds like a family fun film. The rating should be G.
The main character is a stuffed animal. Why
As
not?
in, God damn, she's got some titties.
So the movie begins with a nun praying in a church. She hears a noise, so she stops for a moment. She calls out, "Father Jacob." She assumes that it's the father in the church. She hears the noise again and calls out, "Hello."
Hello. How you doing?
And here comes out this little bunny.
Little bunny foo-foo.
And he starts talking to her. He says, "There's no respect for the old gods nowadays." He ties her up.
Kinky.
Removes all of her clothing.
Even kinkier.
And then has to make the comment, he really has to comment about the fact that she's so well groomed on her downstairs area.
No, her eastern grass is well mowed.
Yeah.
And he expected full nun bush.
Yeah, that was the exact terms he used. Full nun bush. Yeah. Basically, there wasn't an area that wasn't left. There was no rock left unturned in this film.
No.
They flipped every one of them over.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, booby rating. So we get our first booby rating within the first 3 minutes of this film.
Yeah.
And I give them a 4 out of 5. They're nice and full. And they're even laying down, which is even harder to achieve.
Yeah.
And
they're natural.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when she's crucified, it looks good.
Oh, he said he thought she would have a brambly bush.
Yeah, but full nun bush is a lot better.
Not be hairless.
Maybe the guy upstairs likes it that way.
And he says he comes to send a message. It's time they remember the reason for the season. He tells her,
Easter eggs.
to be still. His paws aren't as steady as they used to be. And next you see the nun on a cross with Ezekiel 8:14 carved in her abdomen.
That was more like in more the pelvis area.
The abdomen is
Okay.
the lower part of it's your stomach area. And the song Bunny Foo Foo starts to play, which is just very not. It's not a song.
It's like it's a creepy metal version of it, as we see images of melting chocolate candies, and about 15 minutes of a naked woman dancing.
Before that, her eyes get cut out.
Yeah.
And then it goes into what you're talking about.
Next, we see a priest bound and tied to a chair with a shotgun to his head. We find out that it's Father Asher. The man questioning him is Asaroth, the king of a prince of hell. The father takes off the handcuffs. Asaroth is impressed, blah, blah, blah. And he's wondering what Aster's next move is. He tells him that he's going to basically throw him out the window right behind him and just slay his way out of the building. And he tells him that the guy next to him with the gun would be glad. He is a building full of these guys. And
Henchmen.
Yeah. And they'd be gladly to kill and rape and break his wishbone. Asher tells us, and then we find out that he's a myth pig, and he surrounds himself with the armor of God, basically, and which is literally just like armor that bullets bounce off of. And he has a sword, and he cuts his way and slashes his way out. But of course, we don't see any of that. So.
But he tells us what he's going to do, so we could just fill it in with our imagination.
Yeah.
Why did you not give a death rating for the nun?
Because we didn't see it. He exits the building, and his phone rings, and he's told the Pope wants to see him. But he tells him that the Pope stepped down. But no, the caller tells him the other Pope, the Mega Pope, wants him to come to Mega Pope Land, and he'll be there in 12 hours. Asher arrives, and he gets serenaded by some organs as fluffy stuff forms the head of the Mega Pope. Mm-hmm. And we find out there's a disturbance of the Christosphere, and that the enemies have become bold and less responsive to their symbols. But something else, a greater threat, has come over and has slain a Christ bride on holy ground and carved the Ezekiel passage. Asher is then given a holy hand grenade, and then Mega Pope away.
We're really not trying to be silly. This is actually how they sound in the film.
Yeah.
We're not trying to be pompous or disrespectful. This is how they sound in the film. That's literally the emphasis of how they give megapopes. That's what they do in the film.
Next, we see a priest with a habit of drawing penises. And then the Easter Bunny shows up. We find out there is a plan to get rid of all Easter time festivities. The bunny doesn't like that, and he tells the priest to write down the address where this meeting is supposed to take place to finalize it. And the priest tries to deny it, tries to say no, and the bunny tells him that he will nail his balls to a church door. So he does. On Easter Sunday. Mommy, what are those? And why are they so hairy? We find out.
I want to touch it.
Are those candies? We find out about the Easter Bunny's pet peeve of being called a demon, and the Easter Bunny gives him a gift of an Easter egg that we get killed. Number 1, yoke's on you, and the priest goes
splat.
I give this a 4 out of 5. It's just a fun, punny way of doing things.
Here, have an egg. Splat.
Like one of those like plastic pastel Easter eggs that you hide stuff in.
Yeah. It reminds me of the game Loaded.
Keep bringing it up. I have yet to find it.
It's one of my favorite games.
I've been trying to find it.
From the 90s.
Trying to find it.
And it made the same noise. It just kind of went pfft, splat.
Maybe that's where they got it.
Maybe. Gotta be old to know that.
Time to get the walker out. I was talking about myself. Then we see a young girl showering.
I get a wheelchair.
Then we see a young girl showering, which we get another titty rating. And I give these 3 out of 5. And because they're a bit small, but they're okay. She gets out of the shower to find her phone as her friend Aubrie goes on about thinking that the abolishment of Easter isn't a good idea. She's stuck in the mud. Then this entire time, this chick is just like full blown naked with a towel on her head and a toothbrush in her mouth,
walking around the room.
Talk about gratuitous nudity.
Why not?
And she lays down on the bed.
Still with a toothbrush in her mouth. Like, are you going to brush your teeth or just hold it in your mouth? It counts, right?
Maybe she has an oral fixation that only toothbrushes can fill.
Maybe.
Colgate. Hey, it prevents cavities.
I don't think it works that way.
If you brush your teeth every day, 3 times a day, it does. Mm-hmm. Then Aubrie decides to go back to her room as her shower friend lays on her towel with toothbrush in mouth. And she's on her phone. My question is why is Aubrie even there? Like,
because they're the only 2 kids that are on this trip, and it's probably boring.
It probably is. It just seems sort of weird that, like, and I was thinking, because it sort of presents itself as they're roommates, but then they're not roommates. Like, bunkmates. Mm-hmm. We find out they all both have their own separate bedrooms.
Yeah, because,
the church has got that money.
The church probably doesn't see it as appropriate for them to bunk together.
Everything I've ever known about church, same sex is always bunked together to save money. But I grew up Protestant, so...
Yeah, we did the same thing.
Yeah. Aubrie leaves Shower Girl alone. She gets dressed in a barely there schoolgirl outfit. I think they got that at the local Hustler.
Yeah.
Then she hears a knock on the door. She opens the door to find a basket of mystery jelly beans. You know what they always say, if you find something mysterious on your doorstep and no one's around, what do? You eat it or drink it.
Just eat it. No worries, just eat it.
There could be nothing wrong with it. It was just the goodwill of people to give you it. Next, we see that Asher's at the morgue. The morgue assistant comments on the nun's Easter grass.
Everybody is so enthused by this nun's grooming habits.
And that he found a note in the nun's rectum?
Her back cavity.
Her bat cave.
Her bum.
Her Easter rabbit hole. Asher takes the note and dismisses the attendant. Then Asher takes out his cross necklace, which is a massive necklace. Just pointing something out. And now he's able to speak to the nun because she didn't have last rites. She is displeased that there is pain in her Easter cave. And then she quotes Ezekiel and then tells Asher there are more despicable things to come. Then Asher gives her last rites. We found out Tammuz And the rabbit has a correlation. So they're constantly referencing Ezekiel 8:14. And so this is what it is. Ezekiel 8:14 in the King James Version reads as this. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was toward the north. And behold, there sat a woman weeping for Tammuz. And that's it. Mm-hmm. So the question is who is Tammuz? We find out Tammuz and the rabbit has a correlation. Next, we are in another hotel room with another priest reading the Bible as he's smiling at a big black dildo.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he was...
Oh, yeah.
And the Lord told me to come unto the Lord. We'll have to re-up that contract.
What Lord was he worshiping? The big black serpent? Or...
The one that talks to you on the tree.
No, I think the one that was talking to him while he was on the bed.
There's a knock on the door, and the priest hurries to hide the dildo, and the comic ensues as he tries to find a place to put it, and this is just sort of cringy, and so he throws it underneath the bed covers. Why not a drawer? But no, under the bed covers.
I'm going to slip this up underneath the comforter. No one will see it.
No one will ever...
It's the size of my forearm.
No one will ever sit down on this comforter and notice it. The father opens the door to see Sister Mary Joan, and she asks to come in so they can discuss Easter and her nerves as they're about to discuss this in front of the cardinal. And they also want to put Jesus in the front of Easter and get rid of these eggs and rabbit worshippers. The priest notices the sister's hand on his forearm-sized dildo, and she is...
stroke it.
Stroke man, stroke man. Stroke.
He's getting quite nervous about this whole fingering business she's going on with. She's just having a conversation, just rubbing away on that thing.
Stroke man, stroke man. The sister finds the idea of laying eggs is filthy, and it's like little poops. The priest sort of has a thing for the young students, girls, because he was talking about, them and their little mini skirts, and he was reminiscing about their young succulent bodies.
Yeah, young. Well, we have those young succulent girls to help us prove our point.
Yeah. Then the sister wonders what the thing is as she has been stroke man.
Ooh, what is this? She finally started paying attention. What am I touching?
In the Padre's bed, she pulls it out and sees how big it is, and her face sort of drops to the ground, and he's like... And as she is holding this and sniffing it, which I guess doesn't smell quite...
Doesn't sniff as well.
Doesn't sniff as well. It is definitely not a scratch and sniff of the variety you would enjoy.
Scratch and sniff dildos. Not recommended.
Crap. We should trademark that one. And the father tries to make excuses, and such as... That must be the hotels, because we all know old rooms come complimentary with a big black dildo. It's in the pamphlet. If you don't have one, it's right in there next to the mitts. You really can't miss it.
Oh, I must have gotten the extra room. Surprise!
And then she starts to wonder if the father's penis is similar, so they decide to compare for Jesus.
Yeah. Can't make this stuff up, man.
In another room, Prima, the young, succulent toothbrush chick.
The jelly bean eater.
Yeah, is eating the random door jelly beans. And she's chilling, her stomach starts to hurt, and then she has the case of diarrhea. Diarrhea.
It's cousins with the Rona.
We have a long scene that is excruciating of that action, which ends with her passing eggs through her bowels. And then she passes out.
One egg comes out. She grabs it. And then like a string of eggs come out. Almost like a vine of eggs.
Let's say a brown waterfall of eggs. Out of the Easter cave.
There was no brown. It was just like a...
No. There was.
No, it was red.
Okay, whatever. Just still disgusting.
Colorblind man. Don't know what color it is. It's red. Sorry, it's color you can't see.
Well, anyway. Maybe I just didn't want to look at it. Maybe that was the issue.
Well, how can you describe to the people about what it was?
I could hear. And I saw it once. I don't need to see it twice. It's one of those things that just really grosses me out.
The experience is the noise.
Have the experience is the noise. That's what they all say. Then we find out that the jelly beans hold a Easter surprise of chicken fetuses. And Prima is a proud mother of a large litter.
Yep, she got chicken babies.
Chicken babies. Aubrie is outside calling her dad's voicemail when we hear something singing Little Bunny Foo Boo. Bunny Poo Poo. Little Bunny Poo Poo. Aubrie goes out to her room. She gets locked out of her room. She goes in and tries to find it, and she gets locked out. Someone thing tries to open the door, but can't. Father Asher finds the splatter of Father Jacobs at the church. Father and Sister Mary Joan finish up the comparison. We find out that the sister's freaky because... and the explanation that the priest gives is because it's all that Jesus guilt and Jesus love doing its thing. Who knew that thing to have a good sex life is Jesus, guilt, and Jesus' love and repression. And then the sister asks what the father says about a nun and a priest, and he just really does not. At this point, he's like, I don't care.
He's like, when a man loves a woman, then he says... No, then he's like, he just keeps going back and forth trying to figure out the answer, and he's like, hell, I don't know. I'm going to go take a holy crap.
Which offends the nun.
She's like, oh!
And that she is starting to regret this, but because they're Catholic. The sister asks if there will be punishment, as he starts to reply, the sister gets kill number 2, a carrot through the ear. I give it a 3 out of 5. As her eyes roll back into her head, it goes through her.
One of them gets really wonky.
Yeah, it goes through her temple and it goes, wow, the one eye.
Yeah.
And the Easter Bunny starts taunting the priest enough that his dildo falls out of him. Wonder where
onto the floor.
Wonder where that went to. The bunny tells the priest to stop screwing over his holiday, and he is pissed.
Yeah, the father says, Jesus, and Cottontail says, not quite.
The priest is like, okay. Then the rabbit bends down and shoots pellets of poo at the priest. I give that a 2 out of 5. Because it's just, there's no blood. It's not really that, it's sort of funny. It's for the comical relief thing, but it's not that interesting. There's definitely no blood, which is upsetting.
Well, the father cries out, poop!
Yeah.
And the bunny cries out with his menacing laugh.
Then we see Father Asher meeting up with the cardinal. He tells him about Father Jacobs, then asks about Tammuz, and the cardinal says, "You mean Nimrod?" He goes on and tells him about Tammuz is Nimrod reborn, and that he was killed by a wild boar, but he returns in the air, grass, and little bunnies. Then he spills the beans that spring is all about procreation, and that Tammuz is back in the form of a hare, and then Asher goes basically, "How do you know this?" And he's like, the cardinal's like, "Hey, I summoned him. Not a big deal. I got bored one night. I had a book. I just wanted to see what happened." Then we get a interpretive stripper nun, and that is pierced and tattooed. 2 new nuns wore lacy bras and things, and she starts dancing, and then she has a 2 out of 5. I mean, she's okay. She's okay looking. Then we see the cardinal kill the stripping nun by slashing her throat. I give that a 2 out of 5.
She was the sacrifice for Tammuz.
Yes. Because of the abolishment of Easter, he continues to tell Asher that he was going to meet with others about the abolishment across old churches, but he thinks they are dead now because they attempt to kill a god. Then he asks Asher about what demon is, and he basically tells him it's the old pagan gods, older than Christianity, and that they put him into obscurity, and the myth pigs are sent out to kill demons. We find out myth pigs are demon killers. That's what they're there for. And the cardinal tells Asher if Tammuz dies, springtime dies with him, casting everyone into eternal winter but the cardinal assures him he won't die because he will make sure that 1, they kill all that conspire against him, 2, then the entire church will be destroyed, then 3, he will become God, and then 4, make profit while selling the book, know-how guide of how to kill a god.
Of course.
But then Asher comes to the realization Tammuz was born in opposition of God because he died and got resurrected. And the cardinal says, "He is the fuzzy doombringer, the fluffy harbinger of the apocalypse, the Easter bunny, the Antichrist." And Asher tells him he is ready to kill. Then the cardinal pulls out his gat and tries to pop a cap in the father. But Asher's armor is too strong that Asher gives the cardinal a egg to think about, to open and enjoy, and we get a 3 out of 5 kersplat.
Kersplat.
Next we see Aubrie on her phone, and we find out none of the other phones work. So what do you always do when your phone doesn't work? Obviously go hide in the closet. She hears footsteps to find out it's Asher. He tells her Easter is trying to kill her, and that all the clergy are dead. Aubrie asks about Prima, so they go to her room to find out they hatch Easter eggs, shells, and Prima's skeleton because I guess she was eaten in the bathtub. Aubrie asks where did they go, and then they hear chirping noise coming from the walls. Asher puts on his armor and orders Aubrie in the bathroom. And then thousands of yellow chickadees come flying out of the wall, and just a wall of chirp, 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 chirp.
And he slashes them.
He slashes and hacks his way through. He's making chicky tenders, and he's hungry.
He does step on a few of them.
Yeah. And then after the chicken nuggies making, Aubrie and Asher go back to her room. Aubrie starts asking a bunch of questions.
So awkward.
Yeah. And
they could have took this part out because it was the most awkward thing in the whole freaking movie. It's awful.
Second reviewing, I will fast forward this one so fast. All right. So Asher gets a story that he was in love at one time, blah, blah, blah. She died. And then Aubrie is like, hey, we're all going to die here. And she is like, hey, you want to lose that pre-slave virginity? Huh, honey? Come on, big boy. And then they have a very sensual...
Mm-mm. 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 There are rape scenes in prison movies that are sexier than what happened in this film.
This was a boner killer. But you actually feel like they're actually having sex, and you feel like you walked in and you're like, ooh, I really shouldn't be here. Really should not be here.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like, my bad.
yeah, because it was just, I don't know, it wasn't like awkward and like that fake awkward sex scene.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like awkward in that, like, I don't know, I want to say romantic, but it's not that either.
Mm-mm. It's forced.
Yeah, it's like forced romance. I don't know. It was just very awkward, and it seemed like it went on for like about 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was way too long.
But what balances that out is the Easter Bunny Rabbit Orgy.
That was less awkward than their sex.
That was awesome. That was awesome. So we found out that the Easter Bunny is about to get himself some Easter lovin', and he hits on some rabbits, and he brings them back because I thought it was like mixed in with the awkward sex scene. Well, anyway, so when they're having sex, Easter Bunny is deciding to get down with a couple of 3 rabbit hand puppets, and he decides to get some of that sweet, sweet Easter cocaine to enjoy the evening. So he is huffing and screwing, and one of the bunnies shoots off a gun, and then he passes out.
Yeah, he did that the same night that they did.
Yeah.
It like flashes back and forth between the two.
But anyway, that was a much better sex scene than the one that they did, and I actually really enjoyed that weird sex scene. It really made the movie for me. It was really weird. It was just like...
Yeah, theirs was just awkward. It was so awkward. It's like, just
I think the biggest thing about that whole orgy scene was that it was just absurd. It was just absurd.
Yeah.
And that's what... I mean, here's these hand puppets going at it. One has, like, false human teeth, which is the Easter Bunny, and the other 2 are hand puppets, and they're just, like, flying around.
Yeah.
And he's just... And, like, one's eating a carrot, and the other joins in to eat a carrot. It's all very phallical, and I think it's just hilarious.
Yeah. But when Asher and... What's your name?
Aubrie
are doing it, it doesn't seem like Asher's enjoying it at all. But it seems as if they're actually doing the act.
Yeah.
She seems like she's getting a lot of enjoyment out of it. But it is so awkward.
Yeah.
Asher gets yelled at by the mega poop.
Oh, yeah. So, Asher finishes up, and he wakes up, and right next to him is the rabbit. Go find out he was screwing the rabbit the entire time. Joking.
That would have made it better.
That would have made it a lot better. And so the Mega Pope tells him...
Makes him kneel and rise multiple times.
Yeah, that was sort of annoying. And he demanded a status report. He reports that Tammuz is the Antichrist. But, of course, the Mega Pope already knows that. Because he is the Mega Pope! Asher tells him he lost Aubrie, and he tells him she is still alive, and then he dismisses him, and he also, this is one of my favorite lines out of this entire movie: "Try not to screw any more schoolgirls on your way out." Mega Pope out. Next, we see Aubrie tied up, and the Easter Bunny says hello and tells her she has arrived just in time for the ritual of the rites of spring. He tells her springtime is a time of rebirth and hardcore procreation. That's where he gets his power from, screwing and blasphemy.
And says he hopes she's ready for the ritual.
Yeah. because that's where he gets his power from, screwing up Blasphemy because he is the anti-god. Prepositions her to bump fuzzies because he is blasphemous and interspecies relationships fly in the face of God, and he will become incredibly powerful. Then he bites her and tells her to relax, Christ flake. As he dolls her up, and because she repulses him, he presents a carrot and tells her to open her mouth. She refuses. He forces it in.
He tells her if she doesn't open her mouth, he's going to cut her tits off.
Oh, yeah.
He's a charmer.
He is a charmer. He is a smooth talker, that one. Asher comes to Uncle Snappy's creamed carrots plant to see if she is there. Asher meets with a young chicken and ninja bunny assassin squad, which he fights off with another long scene. I only like the scene.
She?
Yeah.
He said she fights off.
He
Asher's
fights.
a dude.
Asher.
Did he lose his dildo somewhere?
Inside of her. The only reason why I even like this is, again, it's that just absurdity where they use the same hand puppets and they were just like literally flinging them from the side. Like, it was just sort of like, okay, this is funny.
Bunny ninja assassins! Attack! Phew, phew.
And then, of course, he's like, I gotta figure out the pattern, and it's just sort of ruined it, to be honest. After the fight scene, Asher finds Aubrie, where she has been transformed, and she's acting like a rabbit hybrid. Asher doesn't want to fight her, so he chokes her out and exorcises her, and which works, and she passes out, and he places the cross around her neck. As he turns around, there is Peter Cottontail. He tells Asher the deed has been done, and the rite has been completed, and it was done essentially, sort of. Then Asher insults him with demon and gets attacked by a little bunny Fufu himself, the furry god, and as Tammuz is stalling, he informs Asher that here comes the hat trick, and he grows to
Godzilla.
Yeah, God Fury.
He gets big.
Yeah, he decides to
He drinks the growing potion.
Yes. And he decides to take a stroll through town, being shot by jets, which he shoots down with laser beam eyes. And he continues to destroy with balls of fire breath. Then Asher meets Tammuz on top of a building and continues to taunt till he is eaten. Then the giant bunny sees a church and decides to make a stomp by. Inside of Peter Cotton's stomach, Asher pulls the pin of the Holy Hand Grenade. And he blows up with him, the bunny. Next we see Aubrie getting up out of her trance, putting her clothes on, realizing the cross is around her neck, kisses it, and then she doubles over in pain. And then we hear the rabbit say, "Ain't I a stinker?"
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And doesn't it end with the Bunny Fufu song?
I think so. I think it was just ended with, "Am I a stinker?" The credits.
Yep, so at the end they insinuate that
there's going to be a sequel.
Impregnated by the bunny.
Alright, your score?
A 3 out of 5.
Reason?
Cheap laughs, but not a film you would watch again and again. Constant static through most of the film, very annoying. Yes, it is a stupid movie, but the idea of the Easter Bunny being the Antichrist is pretty hilarious.
Okay. So, 4 out of 5. I know that's weird. Overall, I like the movie. The writer-director had knowledge of the Catholic Church and Scripture. So that helped out why I gave it that, I hate to say it mythology, but the
big thing that annoyed me was the static. It just, the audio
I didn't hear it because maybe I was farther away than you were.
Yeah, I sit closer to the TV.
Yeah. And the reason for, and with his understanding, it made coherent sense throughout the film. I found the design of the Easter Bunny to be fun, and I like the crazy eyes along with the teeth.
Mm-hmm.
The buck teeth in the front, and then it's just sort of creepy with the human-like teeth. The voice acting was pretty spot on. I'm also glad that a little CGI was used. The biggest time that they used CGI was the blood, and I just figured because they were using a cheap room, so they can't use like practical effects for that.
Right.
And also there was this sort of like comic book feel in certain areas that I sort of did enjoy. So that was nice when like the Azeroth got thrown out the window. There was a sort of a comic book background instead of this horrible CGI undescript city. I did enjoy the Easter puns, and the usage of imagery as well as the weapons, and the Mega Pup made it for me. If it wasn't for the Mega Pup, I wouldn't care. I don't think. Some things that I could have done without is the extended sex scene with Asher and Aubrie, the extended toilet scene with Prima, but like I said before, the bunny orgy scene was awesome, and it was an interesting juxtapose to see as they're side by side. What I could have changed, the first half had a lot of content in it, but when we hit about the 1 hour mark, it feels like most of the scenes were fillers to extend. And we started seeing that with the sort of like the dancing interpretive dance nun. The ritual just went on. That sex scene.
Mm-hmm.
And that took up at least a good 15 minutes. Just those two scenes alone. And I thought maybe have like another subplot with Astaroth's demon. Just sort of tied in together at the end. Like they didn't know that Tammuz is back. But it would just be nice that there was like a few stragglers from that. Or because in the mythos, Astaroth is the Prince of Hell, so he wouldn't just have just a handful of guys. He would have like an army. So maybe throw some more people at him. Just to sort of get in the way. Like they're out for vengeance, they're out for blood. So he just never has any sort of like downtime. Ideally, I'd like to see a bigger budget for this, and I get it that they didn't have it, so I'm not... This is just sort of like if they would ever have the budget for better costumes other than generic spear rejects. Although it does give it the film some charm. The real thing that really started bothering me was the collar that Asher had, which was just like a piece of tape on a t-shirt, on a black t-shirt. For some odd reason, that bothered the crap out of me.
I didn't pay any attention.
It's worth a watch, and with that, I said, "Make a poop away." Anything else you want to put to it?
I don't think so.
All right, well, that was a fun ride, wasn't it?
It was interesting.
Well, happy Easter. So, with that said, Bunnyman away.
We'll scare you later.
Bye!